around the Brexit process to leave the European Union in the last hour. The Prime Minister there, Theresa May, has said she does not have the support she needs to win a vote on her plan to leave the EU as things stand. As a result, this means she will try to put the plan back to the British Parliament, the House of Commons, perhaps later in the week or even after that. Over the weekend, there was intense speculation in Britain that a group of her own party's members of Parliament might try to topple her to remove her from power. Professor Jannie Roussouw is the head of the School of Economic and Business Sciences at Wits University. He's on the line for you now. Professor Roussouw, good evening to you. From what we can see, it looks like Britain is still nowhere close to resolving this crisis. The Brexit whirlpool is still sucking in everything around Britain.
Good evening, Stephen. Good evening to the listeners. Indeed, it seems that there is no clear plan how to get out of the current mess that Theresa May has led the UK into. We do not know whether Brexit will happen, when it will happen, or what the next move will be.
How does this delay, and we've seen delay after delay now, and then the official request for a formal delay, albeit only 2 weeks from the European Union, do you think that increases the chances that, in fact, despite the referendum, that Brexit may not actually happen? Britain might not actually leave the European Union?
It's beginning to look to me increasingly that Theresa May never had any intention of leaving the EU and therefore allowed the whole Brexit process to deteriorate into chaos, thus giving her an excuse to postpone the Brexit process and keeping the EU longer within, keeping the UK longer within the EU. Please, this is a long shot in the dark, but no other hypothesis at this point makes sense to me. Why would any leader allow something to deteriorate into such chaos? But the other point that you've made, namely that Theresa May can soon be challenged from within her own Conservative Party for the Prime Minister position and the leadership position, is now becoming a real possibility.
Well, the more people believe that perhaps as a sort of soft remainer before the election, before the referendum, she is deliberately trying to stop Brexit from happening, the more opposition she's going to face. Michael Gove, Boris Johnson, those people who pushed strongly for Brexit in her own party, they're likely to try and lead some kind of rebellion against her.
Yes, I expect the rebellion to come soon, and then it will come down to the real test, whether the Conservative Party really want to leave Brexit or not. So they will be a pro-Brexit candidate put against Theresa May, and then the battle lines within the Conservative Party will be clearly drawn. Only then will more clarity about actual Brexit happening or not emerge.
All of this is about politics, but the economic impact is huge. What kind of impact do you think it's having on British companies? As you say, they don't know whether they need to plan for Brexit in 2 weeks' time, perhaps in a few months, or perhaps never.
Yes, it makes planning in the UK very difficult. It makes long-term planning very difficult. Companies do not know where this leads them. It therefore also impacts negatively on investment plans, which then in turn impact negatively on economic growth. So in the long run, the UK economy will suffer as a result of lower economic growth fueled by uncertainty.
Is it possible to know how big that economic impact might be? And I suppose if you were to go and have this conversation in Britain, it might depend on whether you voted to leave, whether you voted to remain or to leave.
It's impossible to do that assessment at this point in time. It's like trying to calculate whether the UK will really be better off by leaving or better off by staying. It depends on your assumptions, and different assumptions will give you different results. So it's not possible, and I don't think it will ever be possible to calculate the real costs.
All of this is having an impact on the British economy, possibly having an impact, perhaps a smaller impact on the European Union, but it's also going to affect our economy. Our businesses don't know what to do, and for example, our automotive sector in particular might find this quite difficult to deal with.
The UK remains an important trading partner of South Africa, and uncertainty in the UK will impact the South African economy. But we have to admit that the biggest problem faced by the South African economy at the moment is load shedding and the fact that Eskom cannot supply sufficient electricity. So we are doing enough damage ourselves to our economy, not having to worry about Brexit or non-Brexit. at the point we are going at the moment, the South African economy might even be in a recession in 2019 owing to load shedding.
When we look at what's happening with Brexit, it's not happening alone. There seems to be a return to a kind of economic change in dynamic, a change in view in the United States. In other words, I'm talking about the trade war with China. The concern perhaps will be that Brexit is just part of a much bigger dynamic that sees some countries almost preparing perhaps to withdraw from world trade. That would have a big impact on everybody. It would probably, I imagine, make most people poorer in the longer run.
Trade is always to the benefit of everybody, and if you ever doubt that statement, just go to the SPAR and look at what you buy. Makes you better off to trade with the owner of the SPAR, and it makes the owner of the SPAR better off to trade with you. So in the same vein, it's better to trade internationally to both parties. It's not as if there are winners and losers in such a trade. If we stop international trade, in the long run, we will all be poorer because costs will be higher and there will be less choice for consumers.
Professor Jannie Roussouw, thank you very much indeed. Head of the School of Economic and Business Sciences at Wits University on the line there.